His name was Daniel Voss, and I want to tell you something about Daniel that his Forbes profile never mentioned. He had never, not once in his adult life, loved anyone without calculating the return. Until the night his car broke down on a dirt road in Vermont, and a woman named Rosa offered him a cup of tea. Daniel Voss grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Third floor of a narrow house with a radiator that clanked all winter and a mother who worked double shifts at a hospital. Laundry, he was brilliant. Everyone said so. He got the scholarships, then the internships, then the exits and the board seats and the magazine covers. And somewhere between the first million and the 10th, something quietly switched off inside him. Not cruelty. That's too dramatic. It was subtler than that. It was the habit of looking at every situation and asking, what does this get me? It worked. It worked so well, in fact, that he stopped noticing he was doing it. 3 marriages. Each ended politely, with lawyers and silence. He told himself they had simply run their course, the way business partnerships do. He genuinely believed that. He had a daughter, Maya, who sent him birthday texts and called him Dad in a voice that was always slightly formal. He had told himself she was independent. He had not asked her how she really was in over 2 years. The loneliest people are the ones with the most reasons to feel like they should not be lonely. It was October. Daniel had been driving himself rare. For him, through the back roads of Vermont after a conference in Burlington, his phone had died. The GPS had already given up, and then the car simply stopped. He stood on the side of the road in his $1,200 shoes and felt, for the first time in years, completely helpless. The house appeared out of the tree line like something from a dream. A porch light, a wooden sign that said nothing, and a woman who opened the door before he even knocked. You look like a man who hasn't asked for help in a long time, she said. Her name was Rosa Almeida, 62 years old, a retired schoolteacher. She had moved to Vermont after her husband passed, to be near her sister, and she had made a life that was, by every material measure, small, and she was the most fully present human being Daniel Voss had ever met. She made him tea. She asked him how he was. Not as a greeting, as a genuine question. She waited for the answer. Daniel opened his mouth to say fine, excellent, good actually, the usual armor, and something in her eyes stopped him. He sat at her kitchen table and told the truth for the first time in 15 years, not about the money, about the loneliness, about Maya, about the feeling he had sometimes. At the center of all that glass and altitude and power, of being utterly, cosmically unseen, Rosa listened. She did not offer solutions. She did not flatter him or pity him. She just received it, like it was an honor to be trusted with something true. He stayed 4 hours. The tow truck came and he waved it off and called another one later. When he finally left, she handed him a piece of paper with her phone number and said, "Come back for dinner sometime, not to network, just to eat." He did go back, once in November, once in December. Each time he brought something, wine the first time, an obscenely expensive cheese basket the second. And each time, Rosa looked at the gift and said, "You didn't need to do this." Not ungratefully, just factually. And each time, the words landed somewhere tender and new inside him. He began to understand, slowly and then all at once, that he had spent his entire adult life transacting. Even generosity for him had been a form of currency. Donations that bore his name, gifts that established debt, kindness deployed like strategy. Rosa had no use for any of it. She just liked his company. She thought he was interesting. She told him when he was being pompous, gently, directly, without agenda. No one had told him the truth about himself in 20 years. He had paid too much money for everyone around him to stop trying. In January, he called Maya. Not a text, a call. He said, "I've been thinking about you, not about how you're doing on paper, about you, what's actually going on." There was a silence on the line so long he thought she had hung up. Then she said, "Dad, are you okay?" He said, "I think I'm starting to be." They talked for 90 minutes. He found out she had been struggling, a relationship, a job she hated, a grief she'd been carrying alone because she hadn't believed he'd want to hear it. He had not known any of this. He had not asked. Driving back from Vermont that winter, with the heater running and the road disappearing into white, Daniel Voss had a thought so simple and devastating he had to pull over. Love is not something you earn or invest in or acquire. It's something you become available to. And he had been unavailable for a very long time. I want to be honest with you. This isn't a story where the billionaire gives everything away and moves to Vermont. That would be satisfying cinema. It's not what happened. Daniel kept his company. He kept the apartment with the floor-to-ceiling windows. He is still, by any measure, a very powerful man. But he is a different kind of powerful now. He has dinner with Maya twice a month. He has learned to show up without an agenda. He is learning, badly, haltingly, sometimes getting it wrong, what it means to be in a relationship where the point is the relationship, not what it produces. He hired a therapist. He told her on the first session, "I need you to tell me the truth even when I'm paying you not to." She said she could do that. He is slowly learning to believe her. And Rosa, he still visits. He brings groceries now instead of gifts. He washes the dishes after dinner. She has taught him to play chess. He loses regularly. He is learning to be okay with that. The most expensive thing Daniel Voss ever acquired cost him nothing. It just required him to stop calculating long enough to receive it. I think about Daniel's story when I notice myself transacting in my own life, keeping score, measuring, waiting to feel certain something is worth it before I give it anything real. Love, real love, the kind that changes you, doesn't wait for certainty. It just asks that you show up honestly and let someone else do the same. If there's someone in your life you've been too busy or too defended or too afraid to really see, maybe today is the day. You don't need a breakdown on a dirt road in Vermont to learn what matters, though sometimes it helps. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needed to hear it. And if it made you think of someone, reach out. Don't calculate.